Welcome back to the Leveled Up Life podcast. Branamier Courtney, as always, here with my main man, Paul McClain, in the studio.
My man.
Let's go. It's going to be a good day. We're trying to help you level up your life in all the areas that matter most: your faith, your family, fitness, finance, and your franchise, man. I've been getting back in the gym, dude.
You're looking good, dude.
Trying to get my fitness right, dude. I've been trying to just prepare for New Year's because I already know what I'm going to start journaling. I'm going to take that last week of the year off. I'm going to go, dude, I'm going to get in shape. I'm going to start eating good. So I started back in September, man.
You look more attractive. When you were on stage yesterday, you kind of distracted me how good you're looking.
I'm trying not to cause my brothers and sisters in Christ to stumble.
Well, you might have to do a message on lust after what you're doing to yourself, bro.
No, that's why I'm wearing these flannels, man. That's why I'm wearing the flannels. But I'm trying to get healthy, dude.
Conceal it, bro. Conceal it.
Trying to get every area of my life, right where it should be. There's different levels to our life, and God always calls us to go from glory to glory. And so that's what we're trying to help people do here, man. Just go to the next level.
I agree. Well, I think for one, the big thing, like you said, is 2025 is coming quick.
Yeah.
And then people will say, hey, at the beginning of the year, then I'm going to do X, Y, Z, right? Yep. This goal, this goal, this goal. And the truth is, man, I think Maxwell said it, how you finish determines how you begin.
Yeah.
So if you finish strong, you're going to begin strong, right? And so as you kind of wrap up this year, man, go into the year with some momentum.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it for almost a year now, this leveled up life concept. And I think it rings so true on our hearts, really understanding from just going after things, chasing things, getting things, and then sitting back and say, how did that thing make me feel? And at the end of the day, what I know to be true is that, man, I've chased and I've gotten some great things that the world says is great, right? I've had financial success, business success, all these different things. But if you're depleted in one area, if there's a deficit in one area, man, it's so difficult to feel good about any other area, right? It's kind of like everything could be going good financially, but 100%. Man, if you got a sick kid, man, it doesn't matter, right?
Yep. You're
looking for a healing. You could have everything going right fitness wise, right? But at the end of the day, if your finances ain't right, you kind of focus on that.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're called in every area to live a leveled up life, and that's the desire is to really win at every platform where you sit back and say, man, my family's not perfect, because how many know, man, families are dysfunctional. There's some things that are taking place and it's seasonal, right? But we're progressing. We're getting a little better. Fitness wise, we're getting a little better. I ain't got the six pack yet, but I'm getting a little better. Finances, it's looking a little more right. And so that's the goal. And I'm really passionate, man. I love it. I love that this is our focus. This is our heart. And I think that more people that are watching this are more alike than not alike. They're not looking just to win in one area, but they're saying, hey, can we get fed each and every week, where at the end of this podcast, I feel like I can take some things and get a little bit better in all these different areas, because, man, that's where real fulfillment is when you sit back and say, man, this week my family got a little better. Man, my faith got a little stronger. My fitness is a little bit better. My finances and franchise, they look a little better. That's a big week. That's a good week, right?
That's the thing. I think we all know this to be true. It's consistency, right? I saw one of my buddies yesterday, Aaron, from he moved to Texas, right?
Yeah.
So I lost all that weight. So I go up to him. I'm like, dude, where's the other half of Aaron? He
dropped 100 pounds,
not being
dude.
funny, but seriously, dude, you're killing it. I was like, what's the secret, dude? Is it the diet? Is it you taking an injection? What's going on? He's like, dude, I just been showing up to the gym every day. And then I started digging a little deeper. He got a girl. He got a girlfriend now.
He got a why.
He got a boo. And so, but it's just consistently, there's no trick to it. There's no magic sauce to any area in life. It's just showing up and putting in work. And I think most people, like you said, want to level up in every area of the life. But most people think it's harder than what it actually is.
That's good.
Not understanding the truth is just small daily bites of the elephant every single day.
That's good.
And over time, you're going to take it down. And then one day, hopefully you look up and be like, I'm a new version of myself. I don't even recognize the old me. And so that's one of the things I love about this podcast and doing life with you, man, is you're constantly challenging me and those around us to level up, to get better. And man, it's a good thing. And so let's talk about this app that you got coming up, dude.
Well, first of all, dude, I feel the same way with you. And I think what you said is encouraging for everybody, man. It's like a proximity issue. You're closer than you think you are. And really that was the design of this app, was sitting back saying okay, how many times have you heard of a morning routine, right?
A ton of them.
If you did all the things that you hear about in a morning routine, how long would your morning routine take?
It would take till nighttime.
Yeah. It'd be a lifetime.
You got to do red light. You got to eat. You got to
there's a ton.
A million different things.
And so that my thought was okay, what am I doing, right? Because I want to put out what we're actually doing, right? And that's the thing about why I love doing this podcast with you, dude, is you are who you are. Like, you're authentic. And I think that's why the church has grown the way it's grown, is because you're not up there that's somebody trying to pretend to be somebody
Yeah.
or something that you're not. Like, you are who you are. And I know that to be true because you're my brother-in-law.
Yeah.
You know, I do life with you. And so I see you on the stage. I see you on my living room couch. I see you in all these different
Yeah.
environments, man, and you are who you are. And I think that's such an attractive thing, to be authentic. And so as I sat back and I've done all these morning routines, dude. Like, you know, I'm the guy that's like, hey, I'm trying to get better.
Yeah.
So if somebody comes out and
them
they've got credibility, they're like, dude, this is going to take, this is it, man. This is the magic feather. I'm like, all right, I'll try it. Let's see. And after, you know, a lot of doing that for years and years and years, since I was 19, just trying to figure out, like, what are the successful people doing, right? And I think that success leaves clues.
Yeah.
And I think it is important to kind of go after and, you know, put yourself around or even follow people on, whether it's social media or podcasts, that you say, hey, I like what it seems like they got going on. Like, what do they have to say? What are they doing? How are they thinking? What are their habits? What are their disciplines? And so I you know, I've done that for a long time, and I sat back and said, okay, these are the routines, the disciplines that are in my morning routine. This is what I do. And so I'd open up a 5-minute journal app, right? I'd go through the Bible and I'd read the Word every day. I'd list my affirmations. So I do these things, but they're all over these different platforms. And sometimes I forget to do one or the other just because it took a lot of different triggers for me. I got to open up this, open up that. And so the app is really a daily discipline. So it's going to be called Leveled Up Life, the daily discipline journal, the morning discipline journal.
Love it.
And it's really just intended for you to have something to grab onto, a tool that you could use where, you know, you've laid the foundation to build a successful day. Because a successful day and a successful night, it started with a successful morning more times than not. And so the first one is gratitude. You know, kind of talk about that, dude. Like, gratitude, how has it made a difference for you, and how important is it in living your life and navigating valley and mountaintop moments, and really kind of just both?
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to having consistent gratitude, right? I think it's easy to be grateful when things are going good. It's easy to be grateful when, you know, you just got the promotion or the business is flourishing. I mean, it's easy to be grateful and reflect in those times, but it's in valley moments, in struggles and battles where you need gratitude. And if you haven't worked out the muscle of gratitude in those moments, it will be hard to pick up that gratitude weight because it's heavy. And so for me, man, it's just been this consistent, you know, daily morning routine where you wake up and I'm just grateful, number one, to God for waking me up, right? But then I just begin to reflect on all the good things in my life, because it's easy to point out the flaws.
Yeah.
Like, dude, for me, I mean, you could look at the comment section on some of the posts, right? Look at some of the reviews on the business or whatever it is. And what's the first thing we look at? The negative.
Yeah.
Like, dude, there could be 100 good reviews and then 2 negative ones, and that's the one we focus on.
Yeah.
And that's one that, like, dude, it eats me up. And I'm like, yeah, what about the 99 good ones? And so it's easy to point out all the things going wrong in life, but when you can flip that and be grateful for all the good things, man, the power of just being grateful far outweighs the negatives going on. And that will be what gets you through the trial, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, man, if I just focus all my attention on what's going wrong, then I'm going to live in that, and then I'm going to be ungrateful for all the good things that are actually going right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I don't know. It's just been such a constant thing for me for so long, just to look around, and I'm grateful for little things. Like, I always try to encourage the church too. Like, be grateful for the person you're sitting next to. Like, be grateful that you got here, that you got a little bit of gas. Like, I always make these little jokes, because we often overlook all the good things in our life and only focus on the small things. And so, like, if you're watching online, if you're driving in the car, like, be grateful you're not walking.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to a job, be grateful you're not at home looking for a job. Like, if you're waking up and you're angry at your wife, well, be grateful that you're waking up not alone. Like, there's all these things that you can just intentionally focus and be grateful on, and something happens not only in your mind but in your heart, where you begin to think, man, I don't really deserve any of this anyways, but, like, look how good God has been to me. And, like, I have now almost like an obligation to go out and accomplish the things He's called me to do. Right. So it starts with perspective, I think.
Yeah, man, that's so good, dude. And I think what we should do, because, like, these are the disciplines that are truly the most successful, the ones that are having the highest fulfilling life are doing, right?
Yeah,
I mean, and
100%.
that's what we're going to unpack. And so I think we'll do this as like a two-part series. And I just want to encourage you to make sure to like, subscribe, and share this. I think that a quick share, that can make a big difference, a massive impact. You know, I can't tell you how many times I've shared a good book, shared a good podcast, a good thing with somebody, and they come back and say, "Man, that impacted me. That changed the way I see things, and now the way I do things is different because I see things different." And so, make sure you share this. But dude, the gratitude is the first part of this app, because I think it's the first way you should enter your day.
100%.
You know, you look at the scripture, and what does it say? It says, "Enter his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise."
Yeah.
I mean, God's saying like, "Hey, I want you to enter my presence with thanksgiving and praise." Now, that's not saying that you're not going to enter and cry out to God when there's different things that are taking place, but he wants that cry to eventually quickly move to like, I'm thanking you because of what's going to come.
Yeah.
I believe that the promise is going to come to pass. So I'm going to, in the present moment, I'm going to step in faith, and I'm going to be grateful for what's going to come, because I know you're upstream working together for things for good. And so I think that that's how, for us to enter his presence that way, shouldn't we enter our day that way, right?
Definitely.
And I think you said it right, man. That's so good. Like you, gratitude is not a feeling necessarily; it's a strategy,
Yeah.
right? And so like
Good.
you can't just all of a sudden like be like, I'm going to be grateful when I feel grateful. No, it's just not the way it works.
Yeah.
Like you've got to strategically say, a part of my day, I'm going to dedicate my first 10 minutes to being grateful. It doesn't have to be 72 minutes, man. It could be 3 minutes. It could be like, let me just list 8 things quickly. And I love when you do that, when you know, are given the message, and you kind of break down those simple things to be grateful for, because it's just reminding somebody that you don't have to wait to be grateful until that thing that you're really hoping for
Right.
comes to pass.
Yeah.
The reality is, if you can't be grateful in the present for what you do have, the thing you're hoping for probably won't come to pass,
Yeah.
right? Because you're going to move and act and behave in such a way that really causes, you know, self-sabotaging behaviors. It's going to cause, you know, stumbling blocks to get in your way to get there. But if I can say, man, I'm thankful for these different things, well, now you're starting to put yourself in an attitude of gratitude, where I believe that as you go through your day now, like your heart will cause and generate things to you. And so if my heart is full of gratitude, I'm more likely to generate and bring things to
That's
me
good.
to be grateful for. You know, like you'll hear people say like, man, the universe brought that to me. Well, I mean, the reality is like, dude, if you really are in this state of gratitude, you're more likely to have those things come to pass.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the universe. I believe that God is a God that created both science and faith, right? Like he's the creator of science. When you break down a body, like he's the one that made it. And so like when those things take place, it's just a validation to what he's already spoken.
Good.
He's saying like, if you're grateful, right, he, you know, that's what he's desiring and hoping for you to be. And so even like when you look at David, when he says like, search my heart,
Right.
right?
Well, you're more likely to do things, say things, attract things to you when you are living, speaking, breathing, and acting with a grateful heart, right? And the same is true for the opposite. Like if you're ungrateful, then you have this repellent on you that you don't even know, and you're pushing away good things that might be coming to you. You're pushing away people that might be coming to you because your attitude, how you're acting. And so it's, the same is true on both sides, right? And so it's like that posture that David said, like, search me, God. Like test my heart and like know my anxious thoughts. So like if there's any wicked way in me, get it out. I want to be grateful for everything that you've sent my way, you know. So that's good.
Well, so let's camp out here on gratitude,
Yeah.
and we'll just really kind of finish this podcast on gratitude, and then we'll talk about the other disciplines next week. But to that scripture, I want to connect something that I think most people have heard from a successful guru or whatever, right? Like you got to have heart and mind alignment. Right. So I can do all these things to get my mind right. Right. Like to try to meditate on good thoughts. But if my heart of what I feel, right, I'm carrying emotions from the past, whether that's anxiety, stress, worry, my heart and mind are not in alignment. If I'm not in alignment, I can't go after the assignment God's got for me. I can't go accomplish and get to those higher levels because I got to be in alignment. Right. And so, you know, when you look at the definition of anxiety, it's a separateness, right? It's a pulling away. And so the one thing I feel like if you want to go make this day the best day, this year the best year, you got to be in oneness with your maker, right? You got to know the true you. And anytime you're dealing with anxiety or stress or worry, that's a separateness. You have to pull away. You're being divided from your maker. And so now I'm worried in stress and anxiety. That's why God says, hey, don't worry about anything but all things, right? by prayer and petition. And so, and thanksgiving,
Yep.
this is by prayer, petition, and thanksgiving. And so I just think that, man, like you can do all, for anybody on here that's like, man, I've been doing the work with my mind. Like I've been trying to get my mind right. I've been speaking and saying some affirmations. Okay, but what are you feeling? What is your heart
Yeah.
full of? Is it full of angst? Is it full of worry, stress, doubt? Because that's the case, that's going to influence ultimately what you think. Your body's going to have the power over your mind. And so now your mind's going to start to shift into finding more things you're anxious for, more things you're worried about. And it's going to construe and distort your thoughts because of how you feel in your heart.
Yeah.
But if your heart starts with gratitude, then you're more likely, as you renew your mind, to have that coherentness where now you're in alignment, right? Now you're working both. And that's where you could be in that flow state where you're moving.
For sure.
And I just want to say, the one example that really impacted me watching this, I've seen it in my own life, but watching Parker do her gratitude journal. She did it every single day. She would write down the things that she was grateful for. And dude, like she had so much anxiety and stress and worry as a little kid does when they're facing something like that. Like her therapist told us, like, a kid's not supposed to think about dying.
Right.
Like that's a thing that adults don't really deal with, oftentimes, that thought, but a child's never supposed to think like about possibly dying.
Yeah.
So she had all the thoughts and emotions that are tied to that thought. But when she woke up each morning, she did her gratitude journal. That was the strategy that helped set the tone to really hedge against the thoughts that could be produced from a negative emotion. But now she's working from an emotion of gratitude. She's more likely to see everything differently. Did it fix everything? No, but it made everything better. It definitely made everything
100%.
better. And so, now even the whole thing, the aftermath, right? Like as far as, what God will always take what the enemy means for evil, he'll turn it for good, is now we've got these gratitude journals at Chalk. And we were just there, Brandon, when we did the 1 year, follow-up. And the doctor's like, they're like, hey, these journals have made such a massive difference. And we didn't really know. They sent us a picture of this corner. They got a journal corner and Parker's pictures there. Cool. Parker's written a note, and they put the note in every single one of the journals, just like her encouraging them, like, hey, I've been here. I've had stage 4 cancer. I've been in your shoes. I know how difficult it is, but be grateful. I'm rooting for you. And so they're just like, it's made such a big difference. And that's the power of gratitude, right? That's the power of just being thankful, knowing that, at the end of the day, like, God's the author, right? And but we get to be able to pick up a pen and say, are we going to start to write our day to day based off of a fearful future and a terrible past, or are we going to believe for a beautiful future and be grateful for the present that we're in right now?
Dude, I mean, I love it. I mean, Parker set such a beautiful example for not only kids to live by, not only people going through a valley moment to live by, but for all of us to live by. It's like, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. Kids definitely are not supposed to have that feeling, but adults, I mean, I don't think about dying, right? So to put myself in that shoe and then have the ability to sit down and list out all the things I'm grateful for, like, just the strategy of doing that every day will, at least for that moment, right, put my day, my future, my week in a better position as if I didn't do it. And so I think and the fact that she wrote the note and they put them in the journal, like, dude, think about the kids that are walking in the hospital who knows where their minds are at, and then they get to see a note from someone that's their age in their position. Like, dude, just the fact that we're talking about it, her gratefulness is now being spread to other people, and then their mind is being triggered to grateful thoughts. Like, dude, it's so important, the power of, like, your testimony.
Yeah.
That's why I always talk to Parker. Like, I always try to mess with her because she's so quiet. I was like, tell me about your day. Like, what are you thankful for? Like, who you got a crush? Like, just trying to get her to laugh, because she has such a cool story, and it's already changing lives, but it's gonna continue to change lives. Like, even with this app, like, that sparked basically because of her.
Yeah.
And I just think it's so important that we wake up every single day, like we've already been talking about, and being grateful for all the little things, because, like, even with Bronx right now, he's in a wheelchair. And so I'm even dealing with him, walking through this whole season of life with him, going, dude, let's just be grateful that you still have your hip, that Let's be grateful that you are going to heal. Like, let's be grateful that you have brothers and sisters to chase around. Like and so I'm working. It's a process though, right? And you're right. It doesn't always feel
Yeah.
like in the moment, like, Dad, I don't feel grateful. Like, son, me either. But like, let's begin to speak it and believe it, and then our feelings will catch up with our words, because the truth is, most people follow their feelings instead of following the truth, right? And so we act based on how we feel, and if we always acted based on how we feel, we'd probably be in prison.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Like,
Yeah.
more times than not, we both have a couple cases standing on the sidelines of the soccer field, that's for sure. But it's not always about how we feel. That's why we got to wake up every morning and go, man, I'm grateful. I'm thankful that I woke up, that God has a purpose for me. I know there's trials and there's giants, there's valleys ahead, but I'm going to be thankful in this moment. I'm going to believe for the future that God's going to come through and work it all together. And even if he doesn't do it my way, I'm still going to give him praise all through the trial. You know what I mean? So it's a strategy, man.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that you're putting this app together. And that's the first thing on it, is just to wake up and be grateful, because it sets the tone for not only the day, but for your life.
Absolutely, man.
For it.
Well, dude, I'll tell you guys this much. We've got more disciplines to go through. The whole deal was like to put a culmination where you can open up one app and you can kind of walk through all these disciplines and really kind of end it, just close the app out and you're ready to go. You're primed for your day. And I just believe that, God's got such a blessing before you. And what he wants from us is obedience. Obedience is the fact that, hey, I'm going to be thankful, God, and my gratitude and thanksgiving is just a declaration for my trust in you, that you are good and faithful, regardless of what it looks like tomorrow, the next year, maybe in the next month, that even if it doesn't show up in my timing, I know that you've got the perfect timing and it's all going to work together for good. And that just allows you to kind of step and march. You talked about it at church, walking around, Jericho 7 days, 7 times, and sometimes it feels ridiculous, yeah, right? And that was such a good word. In fact, guys, I would suggest you go and watch the message at God's House YouTube channel. What's the name of the message?
I trust you, God.
I trust you, God. I mean, it was so good. And sometimes you'll feel ridiculous, right? Yeah. When you're being grateful in a situation where everybody's like, dude, I feel so sorry for you. I feel so bad for you. But it's like, okay, you might feel bad for me, but I know God's got me.
Yeah.
And there's going to be something way better that's going to be produced because I'm actually going through this. And if you're, you do the ridiculous, like you said, you'll
God will do the miraculous.
Yeah. And I mean, that's such a great word. So one thing I want to kind of, I guess, start with and maybe talk a little bit about is, like, most people start their day and the day is kind of like they're chasing the day, right? The day is dictating what they do, how they think, and how they feel. And I know for me, one of the things that really kind of shifted my energy level, my focus, my gratitude, my attitude, my temperament, all those things throughout the day was before I'd wake up and I was like, man, I'm about to be ultra productive. Like, I'm going to crush today. And so I wanted to grab every minute. And I'm very competitive. I'm like, dude, if I can get 3 more minutes on some other fool that might have hit snooze or something, or I could check my email first, like, I got an edge, I got an advantage. And what I realized was, man, when I open up my eyes and then I roll over and I open up my phone and I check my emails first thing in the morning, dude, now I'm just responding. Yeah. I'm like a firefighter, right? You're going out there and just trying to fight the fires of the day, opposed to sitting back and saying, no, I'm in control of my day. I'm going to go ahead and do the only thing I can control, which is focus on my attitude, right? And get my mind right, prime myself. And instead of spending that first 30 minutes just jumping through emails, the biggest thing that helped me, dude, was really kind of transitioning over and saying, okay, my first 30 minutes, an hour, I'm going to spend it with God. I'm going to spend it with visualizing what I want to be and who I want to be and going after that next level version. I'm going to spend that time speaking to myself, not listening to myself, right? And all of a sudden the things started to shift and change. And that's kind of the morning routine app is produced with that. You got the gratitude, the affirmations, the Bible, and also the last thing we'll unpack next week is really challenges and how to create some great peer-to-peer pressure to help you become accountable to these things that will help lead you down that path, right? Talk about that, dude. What were some of the things that you shifted in the morning that you used to have in the routine that you kind of substituted out? You changed maybe one discipline for another discipline, one negative discipline for a positive discipline. What was that for you?
I mean, so the first thing I do is I go, man, what's Paul McClain wearing today? And then I try to visualize that, and then look where we're at.
If people say manifestation doesn't work, bro, this is.
I think we hang
evidence.
out too much.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
If you're not watching online, we're almost matching. but the morning is everything, right? You wake up in the morning, and dude, I've been victim of reacting to the day probably more than I've been, on the other side of that. Like
Yeah.
just throughout life, man, it's like it's hard to break old habits, bad habits, and so I've waken up and just been a firefighter, like you said, for a long time. And what you find is that you can still be productive, but like you're not where you should be or where you could be. And so you're
Yeah.
just responding. And then you have this feeling at the end of the day, like, man, I didn't reach my potential. I didn't get everything done. I didn't get everything out of this day that I could have. And so at some point you got to make a decision to change something. Because if you just complain about it forever and you change nothing, it's like actually worse than not doing anything
Yeah.
at all. Right. And so I'm not ignorant to the fact that something has to change in the morning. And I don't know how you are when you wake up, but dude, my body does not want to wake up sometimes.
No. Yeah.
Like I don't know if it's just me, but it's like I want to hit that snooze 97 times because I've been victim of the New Year's resolutions. Like this time I'm gonna go to the gym. This time I'm gonna do that. And so I think probably when I started taking morning routine real serious was probably like I don't know good probably when I had kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because like, dude, you got something else to live for. You got something else to fight for. It's not just about you anymore. And
Yeah.
so for me, man, it's like I got to get up and get after it. And so you said it, number one, I got to get my mind right. I think it starts there. And then once I get my mind right, like my body will follow. My body's always tired in the morning. You get your coffee, you get up, you go to the gym, but like it starts in the mind. It starts with your mental. So for me, I got to get my word right. I get
Yeah.
some music on. I get the Bible going. So I read my Bible app of the day. That's why I'm excited about this app coming out because for me, that's where it starts with reading. And I'm a pastor, so it's like I got to turn on and off my brain as opposed to like, am I reading the Bible to prepare for a sermon or am I reading the Bible to be fed by the
That's
word?
good.
And so I got to be, and I think a lot of pastors have to fight like that temptation to just like study to give as opposed to study to receive. That makes
Yeah.
sense. And so for me, I got to spend a good 15, 20 minutes in the morning just like going through my word, reading the chapter of the day, journaling, writing down what I'm receiving, what I feel like the Lord is speaking to me. And in that process, it's renewing my mind. It's waking my body up physically because I'm reminding myself of who I am,
Mm-hmm.
that I'm not a tired, lazy dad, right? I'm a go-getter. I'm a someone who tackles the day, someone who encourages others, someone who builds up. So I'm reminding myself who I am, and that way I can step into, the life that God's called me to live. And so I guess just making that mental switch in the morning is big for everyone, but without a plan,
Mm-hmm.
it's like the day has you. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
100%, dude.
So I don't know, Bob. I mean, we talked about it last week, gratitude, right?
Yeah.
Writing down, being grateful, starting there, getting in your word, and then for me now, it's like going to the gym. So those are my probably big three things that I do in the morning.
Yeah. That's good, dude. And I think so. For one, everybody I believe is more alike than not alike with this. Like you could before you go to bed, like no tomorrow morning I got to tackle some things.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like you should be full of like passion and excitement for whatever you're going to tackle. Now not every day is like that,
Right.
but I believe it's important at night to try to get the right perspective and spin whatever you're maybe looking at like man, I got to handle that and kind of flip it where you get to handle that,
Yeah.
right? And so I think at night the way to kind of help yourself and aid yourself and get out of bed is not like I have to do this tomorrow, but man, I get to do this. And it's just a paradigm shift. So if you could just switch that from, man, what do I have to do? Because then it seems like a fight,
a
fight,
Yeah.
yeah, like a burden. You know what I mean? And change it to I get to do this. Well, now it's like a privilege. Now it's like, okay, how where's the good in it, right? Like where's the benefit? If I get to do something, there's some advantageous things about it that are going to set me up. And so for me, man, the one thing, because I before I go to bed, dude, I would kind of be thinking a lot of times it's hard to go to bed because you're ruminating on
Yeah.
what needs to be done. And I think it was in the morning miracle book. They talked about like a nighttime affirmation, right? And in the nighttime affirmation, it kind of helps set you up to really go out there and be just locked in the morning and not hit snooze and not start casting votes for the opposite of what you're trying to do in the morning, right? Because it's hard when you're like, man, I'm a go-getter, I'm confident, I'm bold, I'm getting after it, I'm empowered, I'm equipped, I'm disciplined, I'm focused, all these things. And then the alarm clock goes off, man, and you hit snooze 7 times. By the time you get out of bed, dude, you got like 8 votes of why you're a loser. You know, you're like, man, I don't listen to what I say. I got no integrity. I can't depend on myself. And be clear, that's me, you, everybody, right? Like we've all done that. And the person that's acting like they haven't, well, dude, you get on a podcast, tell us how you've never not done that. But the reality is, how do we best combat that, right? And I think at night, just kind of speaking some things to yourself and saying like, hey, tomorrow I'm waking up at this time, and you say it, and like you can write it out. Like I got a nighttime routine affirmation where I say tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock or 5 o'clock I'm waking up, and I know that this is going to make a massive difference in my life. I choose to not hit snooze, but I choose to get up amidst the feeling because I'm a disciplined person. And if you just say like a quick paragraph before you go to bed, and you kind of really talk about the advantage of doing that and the disadvantage of hitting snooze, and that could be like, even though or I'll even say like if I'm getting less sleep, like tonight I'm gonna have 5 hours of sleep. That's the exact amount of sleep I need to have to be productive tomorrow. Opposed to like, oh man, tonight I ain't getting my normal 6 hours.
Right.
I ain't getting my normal 7 hours. Well, dude, now how do you think your body's gonna respond to that? Right, your mind is dictating. It's a whole like mind over matter kind of thing. Yeah, matter does matter as well, but you want your mind to influence your matter in the best possible way it could, right? And so I just think that's an important thing to do. And I want to read this quick story. You know, it kind of, I think, portrays what we're talking about, dude. And it's a story about these two people, and it's a true story. It's a study that they did. And in the morning they go and they give this person like a hot cup of coffee, right? So they give them a hot cup of coffee, and I just pulled it up to make sure I'm doing a justice with it. And they said, hey, we'll give you $20, right? We need you to read these 3 paragraphs, and then we're going to come back, and you need to answer this question. And so they come back, they read the 3 paragraphs, they ask the person the questions. And the person that had the hot cup of coffee, they described the character in the story, they described the scenes of the story as warm and caring, right? That was what they described it as. And then they came back and gave another group of people a cold cup of coffee. And they said, hey, we're going to come back, and I want you to read these 3 paragraphs and answer these questions, right? You know, how did you describe the character? Da, 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 da. And it was complete opposite. It was like the character was uncaring. They were cold. They both read the same story, right? But it was how they perceived it based off just a cold cup of coffee or a hot cup of coffee. And the whole project or study is to basically portray the fact that, man, how you look at the rest of your day, right? If you're grateful, if you're excited, if you're building yourself up, if you've empowered yourself, if you've had some good visualization, man, the whole day you're going to find things. You're going to see things that you normally would call negative, you normally call bad, you normally call an obstacle, an adversity, a struggle, and that would cause stress, anxiety, and the things you don't want. Man, now you call that thing, you know, blessed, and you look for the good, and you're like, I'm glad that happened, and this was great, and you just see everything differently, dude. And the reality is, we're the author of our lives. A lot of times people will experience the same thing, but their narrative, the response, and then ultimately the path that they take from there is so different that one leads a life of quiet desperation, the other one leads a life of crazy victory.
Right.
That sounds on these testimonies because of how they saw it.
Dude, that's good. Really good. I think about like a kid, right? So when we're kids, our mind is like a sponge. So we both have little kids. You speak anything over them, negative or positive, good or bad, funny or sad, like they're going to soak it up. And the truth is, we've all grown up with brains like sponges, and we've begun to believe things that are not true about us, right? And so a lie told long enough eventually feels like the truth. And so the reality is, when you get to become an adult and you've believed a lie for so long that you're lazy, that you're not worthy, that you just are who you are, you're just common like everyone else, you're never going to be, you know, like that person. You've believed this lie, and then so you live life as if the lie were true. And so really the positive affirmation, the gratitude journal, you're rewiring your brain to think the right way, right? And it's a process. And so even though you aren't that yet, what a positive affirmation does is begin to slowly rewire your brain to be that thing, right? And so it's speaking what could be in the future as if it was right now, right? And so it's like, I'm not a $1 million CEO that runs a successful organization that blesses my city, but I speak and live like as if I am, and then my behavior follows that which I speak, right? And so it's rewiring your brain. And so I think when it comes to affirmations, a lot of times what we do is we just say these mantras that sound real good, But I think for me, I gotta be super specific in the things that I say, right? Because you could just repeat, I'm successful all day long. But if you never define what success actually is,
It's good.
it's like, well, I'm just kind of saying pie in the sky kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so for wherever you're at in life, like I think in the morning, that's why it's so important to get into the word, because it's so specific on what God says about who you are, right? But not only like your identity in Christ, but specifically what you want to see and what you believe that God is calling you to do, become, accomplish. Like you got to get specific with it. And then I love what you said, not only specific, but there also has to be some emotion tied to it. So it's like that warm cup of coffee caused like a physical emotion to take place. And so for you, it could be like, I'm trying to think of an example where like, so when there's a negative emotion tied to like a rewiring of the brain. Think about like if you were to get robbed, like at gunpoint,
Mm-hmm.
like in your car. Like, dude, if someone came up to you and robbed you at gunpoint in your car, the next time you got in your car, your brain is rewired so quickly that you'd be scared to get back in your car, right? Because of a traumatic, emotional something that took place in your car. So like it instantly rewired your brain. So in the positive, like tying a positive emotion to like that the person you want to become is just as powerful.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I'm a strong dad that loves to play with my kids, that has whatever, right? And so like if you're saying that, we'll tie a positive emotion to it. Like go work out and say that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like tie something physical to it. Drink that warm cup of coffee. Like tie something positive that's tied to you saying it. And I think it's more likely to rewire it quicker, as if the same way a traumatic negative experience could rewire your brain. Does that make
Dude,
sense?
100%, man. I think Tony Robbins even talks about that stuff. He says like you know, and it sounds funny. I remember when I heard it, I was like, dude, does he really do that? And should I do it? But he
Right.
talks about like standing like you know like a Superman pose,
100%.
you know,
Or like do a push up when you say
yeah,
it, or pose when you say it,
standing straight up, you know,
because you're
like
tying the physical to now what you're saying out loud, and it's gonna rewire your brain faster. It has
yeah.
to.
Dude, there's a good book that I think it's Mel. Gosh, what's your last name? I forget the last name, but it's called the High Five Method. And it's very
That's
interesting,
good.
dude. It said that they did a study and looked at all the top NBA teams, and they'd go back through and all the different like videos and footages and count how many high fives the team gave.
Like
And
within
bro,
the game.
yeah, bizarre. They said that for like 15 years straight that they went back, the team that gave the most high fives was a team, and they went from the
Yeah.
preseason, is the team that won the championship
It's gotta
game.
be, dude.
And what it is,
That's
it's just like,
interesting, yeah.
it's just an encouragement. Like, dude, like
Mhm.
no matter what, and so like we do that now. Like even our chant is like the girls all high five each other, and then they do the chant. Just because I'm trying to get some extra high fives in
Yeah.
now, man. But what it is that physical
100%.
activity that triggers something in your brain, right? That says like, hey, there's something good to come, or even if that wasn't good, something good is going to come out of it. It's all encouragement, empowerment, right? And so, absolutely, man. I think that's a big deal.
Well, it's like we do the same thing at church. Like before we get ready for the word, it's like, hey, before you're seated, high five people and tell them you
Right.
look good, you sound good. It's the same thing. You're just like you're affirming them. There's physical connection.
Yeah.
Your brain's rewiring itself to like believe what's about to be said, what was just said. It's just, I mean, it's so crazy how it's psychological, and people think it's unintentional or it's just something funny, but we do it intentionally or unintentionally, like rewire our brains
Yeah.
for the good or bad all day long, right? And so if you're aware that your brain is being rewired, you might as well be intentional how it's being rewired.
That's great.
100%.
Yeah, I think you said it right, dude. The first step is today. Let this be the day that you're aware, right? I love what Craig Rochelle says: is you can't defeat what you can't define.
Yep.
So like today, we're defining the fact that hey, you have the control, right? It's up to you to start to say, am I going to just listen to these voices, or I'm going to be speaking to myself, right? Because everybody's got the little voice in your head, and if that was you,
Yeah.
you wouldn't be saying that. It's to me, it's the enemy. You call it the voice of mediocrity, whatever you want to call it, but it's against you, right? That voices that you're listening to, it's typically not empowering you. It's probably not. It's typically not like, hey, today you're gonna kill it.
Right.
No, you just like, dude, you're tired, you're lazy. Why do you feel like this? Why do you feel like that? Why did you have that crazy thought, dude? What's wrong with you? Like it's that kind of stuff. It's a war in your mind. And this is where we're saying, hey, let's unpack a couple some good affirmations and go through what that looks like, so you can start speaking the 2.0 version, the next level version about yourself. Now, Brian, did you ever feel like when you started saying it, like did you ever go through a season where you're like, all right, I heard about affirmations, you started doing it, and you kind of feel like that ain't true, that ain't working, and then you stop doing it.
Of course.
What is what for somebody that's done that? How do they get encouraged with it to understand that? Because there's a process. It's write it, think it, speak it, until you believe it. I mean, you're not going to believe it right away.
Right.
What's that process
Well,
look like? Why does it take? Why is there a
I
process?
think like anything else in life, it's about consistency, right? So if you know something is like I don't have to be sold on the fact that working out and eating good is good for me. Like I know that, but that doesn't mean I do it every day. Like everyone, I mean, 99.9% of people would agree that working out and eating right is good for you. But yet not everyone does it. Why?
Right.
Because it's hard to not just do it once, but to be consistent with it. And so the same is true for affirmations or, you know, any other thing that's worth doing in life. You got to be consistent. And I've fallen victim to inconsistency in many areas of life, this being one of them. And I think life just happens, right? And so I think about when I was doing jujitsu. Like I was like down to 170 pounds, like shredded, looking good, about to do my first tournament.
Yep.
Got one little scratch on my elbow. Went to the hospital over 3 days because I got an infection, and then I've never went back. It's been 2.5
Yeah.
years. And so, like, dude, consistency is the answer. It's not like I didn't know that was good for me or healthy for me. So with affirmations, man, sometimes one little thing in the morning could throw you off. Like, dude, one fight with your wife, one argument with the kids, one unsettled thing that happened at night that messed your morning routine up. And so I don't know like specifically what it was, like why I got off for a season or a day or a month or a week, but like life happens. But I think you said it earlier, just being aware of the fact that I need to get back to routine, because that's the thing that's ultimately going to take me to where I need to be. Just being aware of it and then having accountability, which is why I love that
Yeah.
app, because on the app it's like, dude, you haven't done your affirmations, gratitude journal by reading for 12 days. Where you at, bro?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think having accountability in your morning routine is big. So I think that's probably it for me. Is like not having accountability in that is why I got off track. It's like not having anyone to check in and be like, where you at? Where you
Yeah.
going? I think that's probably the biggest thing that most people are lacking, and the accountability that you do have, if they're not ahead of you in some way, well, they're hoping you don't check in on them either.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And so now you're just a group of people who aren't reaching the next
Yeah.
level. And so I don't know specifically, but being aware is, I think, the biggest thing, and then just starting where you're at, like not beating yourself up over it, not falling into guilt and shame, but
Mm-hmm.
just like, hey, it is what it is. I acknowledge the fact. There's no excuses that it happened, but here I am today. Let's move forward.
Yeah.
You know?
I think, dude, like how many times have we started to do something, and then like you said, that one thing takes you off of it,
Mm-hmm.
and then one day becomes two, two becomes five, five becomes 10, and all of a sudden you look back, you're like, dude, how did that happen? And I think it's just like, like you said, accountability, and just being reminded. You know what I mean? Like this, it's easy to forget and get caught up doing the next thing, and then an old bad habit substitutes and replaces a really new good habit,
Yeah.
right? And so I think so the affirmations, we're gonna have it set up through the app where it'll actually remind the person in the morning. You can set like, hey, 5 a.m. I want these affirmations I wrote today to come up on my phone tomorrow at 5 a.m. So when you get out of bed and you hit alarm off, those affirmations are there. And I think that's a trigger to say, hey, oh, let me get into my morning routine.
Yeah.
Hey, let me open up the app. These are my affirmations. Let me start speaking this right away. So it's the first thing you do, and it's a productive thing to set yourself up and prime yourself. And it's no different than like if you're like having a hard time like working out in the morning or getting up and going for a walk. Well, if you wake up and your shoes are put out and your socks are put out and you got a glass of water right there, and you say, okay, the first thing I'm gonna do is drink this glass of water, and then I'm gonna put on my shoes, and then I'm gonna go for a walk, you're significantly more likely to do it than you are if you just say, hey, tomorrow morning,
Yeah.
I like to go on a walk. It just doesn't happen the same way. And so I think that's one thing that as I look back, I know how many times have I, dude, just had something good going on, and then I miss a day,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden it's done, right? And I think that's just too common. I think it's because of that.
100%. And I also think, and this just came to my mind when you were talking, is that people don't fully understand what the promised land requires, or like what the next level requires. They think that when they get to the next level or the promised land, that it's going to be easy. But it's actually, Egypt was easy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like mediocrity is easy. Being a slave and being told what to do, that's the easy part.
Yeah.
But it's in the process where things don't taste the same anymore like they did like when the Israelites were coming out of Egypt, right? And God was providing for them, and God sent them manna. But what happened on the way to the promised land? Well, they started complaining, like, dude, the leeks and onions back in Egypt taste better than this.
Yep.
Like, dude, we were better off staying back there. Like, Moses, why'd you lead us out here just to die? Like, dude, we should have stayed in Egypt. And then when they got to the promised land, like, God quit sending manna because it was time for them to work.
Yeah.
So like the promised land requires work. The next level requires work. And so when you asked me that question, I was thinking like the reason people stop being consistent with good things is because you start thinking about Egypt. Like, dude, it was easier not to wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
It was easier not to say these affirmations. It was easier not to be, not to give sacrificially or whatever it is. And you forget, like, dude, the promised land, the next level of your life is actually harder and requires more accountability, more trust, more integrity, more giving, more all good things, right? And so I think people have a false expectation of what that next level is. Everyone says, I can't wait to get to the promised land. But in the promised land, you got to dig your own trenches. You got to
Yeah.
water your own garden. You got to hire your own people. You got to train you got to do a lot more stuff
Yeah.
as opposed to just being, a 9 to 5 back in Egypt. That makes sense. If you're not getting the Egypt reference, you probably need to get to church.
No, but 100%, bro. But I think too, what we'll do is like we'll glorify what was mortifying us in the
100%.
present moment. Like we're like, dude, we have to get better. Like we got to get this weight up. We got to get our finances right. We got to do these things. And once we start stepping into those uncomfortable seasons, I think the enemy will distort the past and create great deception, thinking that was better than what it really was, right? So we start looking back and thinking like, oh, if that was just so much easier to be able to roll out of bed, to not go the extra mile and write that note for my child, or spend that extra time that I don't really want to because I'm tired and I'm exhausted. It's easier to sit on the couch than go read a book to my kid. I mean, all those things, and it's a lie.
Yep.
It really is a lie. And what happens is because of that, we get tempted and pulled like maybe that is true. And then we start living in that way. And then it's a great cycle. Then we start doing those old bad things again. And we're like, dude, this is terrible. And then we keep doing them until it hurts so bad. And then we're like, we cry out to God, like, we got to do something different. Right. And then we start doing those things We're like, man, that was so much better. Yeah. And it's like, we just got to just delete that lie. Right? Hold on to the truth, which is God is with me, He's for me, the best is yet to come, and just continue to move forward into these God levels that He's prepared for us. But man, it's so easy. And I always think about like the cycle of the Israelites, dude. Like, dude, I remember reading the Bible thinking like, these guys are fools. Like, I remember being, just going to the Old Testament thinking like, what is going on here? Right. Like, they fall down, they're separate from God, their life's in shambles, their identity's gone. Their life doesn't look good, and then they cry out to God. And then God's there because He never leaves you or forsakes you. He picks them up, right? Gives them the straight path. They start walking in His promises. Everything's going good. And once it goes so good for so long, then they're like, well, you know what? I'm going to just start going back. And they take the foot off the gas. They compromise here, compromise there. Before you know it, they're worshiping a gold calf, right? Mm-hmm. And like, how did that happen that quick? And then all of a sudden, it goes bad. Life goes to shambles. God's not with them. There's disconnection. And then they reach out to God. God, can you help? It's that cycle, right? And I thought, like, I'm that idiot. Right. Like, that's me, right? Like, at first I was kind of judging them. Like, these guys are foolish, man. Like, how do they do that? And I thought, like, man, that's everybody, dude. Like, that's our life today still. That's why the Bible's so applicable today, dude. It's just like, I started thinking like, oh, that's what I do. Like, I get this habit going. Mm-hmm. And then it's so fruitful and everything's feeling so good.
God parts the Red Sea on your behalf. It's a miracle moment. Yeah. You walk through it, praise God, God's good. And then you forget all about what He's just done 2 chapters earlier in your life. And you're like, man, I don't know if God's ever going to come through again.
So easy to do, bro.
So easy. We all fall victim to it. But that's why this affirmations, reminders, identity, purpose, like you got to stay consistent with
it. You got to do it every single day.
Every day.
Hey, when you get off, do it now. Don't delay, don't wait, because the next thing that's coming your way will capture this moment. This moment's to help you take it to the next level. Affirmations, there's power, there's life and death in the spoken word. And what are you going to produce? Are you going to give power to the false, bad identities, the lower levels? Or are you going to give power to the next level that God's got for you? So, guys, we love you. Be strong, stay steadfast, and we'll talk to you next week. God bless you.